It's a video of a 2004 Honda Odyssey, and this is regarding water intrusion into the cab. In particular, it's going to be leaking up in the front, but I just wanted to start off and show you the back of the Odyssey here. I've went ahead and removed the roof rack, and I believe it took me about 10 minutes to remove it. It was fairly easy. You're going to need a T30 tool to remove that. Basically, it's a Torx number 30, and it took me about 10 minutes as mentioned. You want to make sure you keep all those parts together because you could certainly lose them pretty easy. As you can see, I'm here next to a little swale pond, and I've kicked one over there already. I was able to find it. So anyway, back to the video. I've taken the roof rack off, and inside this channel there was these black inserts I was able to remove, so that's all cleared out. I washed the top of the vehicle very thoroughly, cleaned it out, and now today what I ended up doing is I took the seam sealer, I cleaned it out, and I'll show you what we're talking about. So the seam sealer, let me get on top of the vehicle here so I don't fall off. So you can see the seam sealer that Honda uses basically is exactly what it is. It's where there is any seam where in this particular case, the rooftop cap meets the body, and you can see the seam right there. You see where the two pieces join together? That is where this seam sealer is, and you can see earlier attempts I used a silicone RTV. I recommend that you do not use that. It makes a mess. I found that it didn't work. So what I did is I went and cleaned out with a screwdriver. This little standard screwdriver is all I used, and actually a cold beverage because it is pretty warm here in the Northwest. I live in Oregon. And it rains quite a bit, but this summer 2015 has been very unusual. It's been in the 95 to the 100 degrees, and today is August 1st, and I want to show you what I found. I found actually evidence of a smoking gun that we don't typically find. We just kind of guess, and we put this goop all over the place. But if you look right down the channel, you're going to find out right where that screwdriver is, there is some evidence of rust marks. So right between these two pieces of body parts, the rooftop cap and the body, you can see it's rusting in there. And where there's rust between two pieces of metal, there's water intrusion. So that's what I've done. I went ahead and cleaned out this seam sealer. And what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go to my local Napa Auto Parts store tomorrow, because today's Sunday, and I'm going to go buy their seam sealer from 3M. It's a cartridge, and I do advise that you get a cartridge gun and cut the tip off at a 45-degree angle and just redo the seam sealer right inside the channel. So I do recommend what you start off doing is remove the roof rack off, take all the parts off, clean it very thoroughly with soap and water, let it dry, go back and clean the seam sealer off with this screwdriver. As you can see, I went down the whole entire length of both sides of the channel, and I've exposed the seam right in there. And so we're going to go ahead and wash it off again, blow dry it with a air compressor, and I'm going to go buy the seam sealer. I do want to show you what's happened to the vehicle. As mentioned, this is a 2004 Honda Odyssey, and it's been very troubling to try and get this leak fixed because I've had the windshield done twice. And unbeknownst to me, it wasn't the windshield. It was actually the leak in the seam that you saw. But here's what's been going on. I've been getting rust trails here, and you can see all the water intrusion that's come in all the way up till here, and it's filled up this little area. And then what it does, the water leaks down into this little cavity. And what is that cavity? Excuse me, the cavity here. What is that? Well, that's the sun visor. The sun visor anchor goes there. And let me just lift this down a little bit and show you where it's been leaking out of. It's been leaking right out of this hole right here, this little cavity, and that is the electrical connector for the power for the light on the sun visor. And as we scan across the van, The same thing on that side as well. It has been leaking. and I also found evidence of rust there too. So you get the picture. It's coming from not the front windshield, but it's coming from the seam sealer. So I've had to remove this entire headliner down to troubleshoot this and to look to find out what is actually going on with this Honda, because it's a 2004. It's well, it's several years old. The nice thing is it's paid for and it runs really good. This 3.5 liter had hardly any issues with it, besides some tranny issues, but I plan keeping it a little bit longer. It's just frustrating here anywhere you live, but in particular in the Northwest, that when you drive, it's not very fun to get your lap wet. So anyway, friends, I will update you when I buy the seam sealer and we'll finish this project.